Well, good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come this morning and give you a book tag. And so yesterday I was watching Margaret Pinard's channel, and she did the Milky Way Book Tag. And so I wanted to participate in this. And the original can be found on Hannah's blog. I'll leave the link to both of those down in the description below. This tag has 9 questions in it, and so let's go ahead and get started. So the Milky Way Book Tag, and as you can tell, it's going to take you around our all the planets in our solar system here. So Mercury, question number 1 is Mercury, a book with themes of loneliness. The book I chose for this was my recent read, The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. The Great Alone is about a family that moves up to Alaska. And when we talk about loneliness, if you know anything about the Alaskan winters, they are long and very cold, and the sun the sun goes down because of the angle of the earth, and you don't get very much daylight, and so this loneliness that sets in, it causes a lot of depression in Alaska because of the darkness that's always around. And in this book she hits on that. She hits on the winter loneliness. She hits on just the problems of being isolated and the loneliness of that. Also in this book, she hits on the loneliness of the characters, where the father's an abusive man, and so the mother and the daughter have to walk on eggshells, and they can't be around a lot of their friends a lot of the time, and it creates a loneliness. And Lenny, the main character, her best friend, ends up, his mother dies, and he ends up moving a few hundred miles away, and it creates a loneliness for her, where she has no friends or no really close friends around, and she spends, I think it's like 3-4 years of loneliness waiting on him. And he does end up coming back, but then there's another loneliness that sets in with an injury that happens in the book, and Lenny finds herself alone in many different ways. Alone early in the book because her family moves a lot, because of her dad's shiftless nature. She finds herself alone in Alaska because she's never lived there before. She finds herself alone when her best friend leaves. She finds herself alone towards the end of the book when some other events happen. So loneliness is definitely one of the main themes in The Great Alone. So that's why I chose Kristen Hanna's book. So question number 2 is Venus, a book set in a hot climate. Now, I actually had 2 books chosen for this, and if you will excuse me. Oh, forgot to grab this one off the shelf. The first one that I chose was Michael Crichton, one of the last books that he was in the process of writing, and Richard Preston ended up finishing the book. The book is Micro, and this is about micro technologies, nanotechnologies, and the setting takes place in Hawaii. And of course, Hawaii is a warm tropical environment, and this book is quite the interesting book if you've never read it. But Hawaii is our setting there for our hot climate. And the other one that I chose was Facing the Lion, Growing Up Maasai on the African Savannah by Joseph Lomasole Lucaton. And this is about the life story of Joseph Lucaton, who is from the Maasai tribe. He grows up in Kenya, which is obviously a pretty hot climate. It's right near the equator, or is it right on the? It might be right on the equator. And it talks about throughout the book how hot it gets and dehydration and just how drought sets in this area where he lives, and how it is a struggle to raise his cattle that his family owns. And of course, in the Maasai tribe, cattle are a sign of wealth, and when drought sets in and you can't take care of your cattle, you lose your wealth. And so Kenya is obviously a very, very hot climate, and so I chose that one for question number 2, or prompt number 2. Number 3, Earth. A book with multiple perspectives. Okay, so I had to return the book to the library, but I chose another recent read, and it was Our Team by Luke Eplin. And this was the story of the 1948 Cleveland Indians. And in this book, the author looks at 4 different people in the book and takes it from 4 different perspectives. Now, it's their personal stories, but not like in a fictional way where you're in the head of all 4 of the people. It's a nonfiction book, and so it's told like almost like 4 combined biographies that all come together to help create the 1948 Cleveland Indians baseball team. But they take the perspective of Larry Doby, the second African American player to ever play in the major leagues. He ended up, by the end of the season, being the center fielder for the Cleveland Indians. They take the perspective of Satchel Paige, a pitcher that they pick up. He's kind of an old man in the Negro Leagues, but he is a legend, and he comes and brings his skills to the Cleveland Indians. Bill Veeck, the Cleveland Indians owner, who turns the team around overnight. And then the 4th one is from a fellow Iowan, Bob Feller, the premier pitcher of the Cleveland Indians, who for the longest time took pretty much all the limelight because he was about the only limelight they had. And so, it tells the story of the 48 Cleveland Indians through the points of view of all 4 of those players. So moving on. Question number 4, Mars. A book that had potential but didn't deliver. Okay, this was another library book that I picked up earlier this year. The potential was it was supposed to be a classic. It's supposed to be a coming-of-age book. And those that follow the channel know what book I'm getting ready to talk about. It was Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Catcher in the Rye, again, had that potential for me. It was a classic. I had high expectations, but it definitely did not deliver. Personally, I think it's one of the worst books I've ever read. I thought it was terrible, and I thought it was unrealistic. I did not think that the storyline was done very well. I thought there was so much other stuff that could have been done. My daughter and I, who we kind of buddy read this, we both felt that at the end of the story, when it started getting into the relationship of the main character and his sister, that whole storyline could have been drawn out big time and could have added so much to the book and the depth of the book, and it would have given it more of a reality. And it just didn't do it for me. It did not deliver at all. And as I said, it is on my list of worst books I've ever read. So, anyway, number 5, Jupiter, a big chunk that you enjoyed. So by big chunk, I was taking it that 800 pages or more. So like when we do March of the Mammoths, 800 pages is kind of what you're looking for. Books of over 800 pages, and that's your chunker. And so it constitutes as a mammoth. So I went and I found a big chunk of a book that I enjoyed, and it was New York by Edward Rutherford. And this is an 862-page book. Edward Rutherford takes a family and takes them through the history of New York. So it's a multi-generational book. I thought it was fabulous. I thought it was great. It starts with right at the very beginning of New York being a Dutch colony, and Peter Stuyvesant, and brings it all the way into when the British took over, and through the Revolutionary War, through the Civil War, through the Gilded Age, and all the way into the 1990s with the attack on the World Trade Center. And I truly thought it was a fabulous book. Not only multi-generational, but it does a heck of a job taking you through all of these historical events. So definitely a historical fiction that I would recommend to anybody looking for a multi-generational book. So, let's see here. Number 6 is Saturn, a book that gets a lot of attention that you enjoyed. And I didn't have it sitting, I think it's upstairs. I didn't have it sitting right here on the shelves. But the book that got a lot of attention that I thought was really, really good was Rick Atkinson's first volume of his Revolutionary War trilogy, and that is The British Are Coming. He basically takes it from, in his history of the Revolutionary War, he takes it from the beginning of the war up to, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, it was the Battle of Princeton is where he stops with it, I think. But he just does a fabulous job, a blow-by-blow description of the different battles. And it's not just the major battles that we all know about, you know, like Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, Trenton, Princeton, but he also takes all of the minor battles that you don't hear as much about, and some of like the Canadian battles and the battles against the Native Americans. And, you know, he hits all of those areas that you typically don't hear about, and he just does an excellent job. And anybody wanting a book that thoroughly covers the battlefields of the Revolutionary War, I would highly recommend Rick Atkinson's book, The British Are Coming. And I am looking forward to, in the future, his series, which I have bought. Here's 2 of them. Where's the third one? There's a third one somewhere on the shelf. But his World War II series, I'm thoroughly looking forward to that, because if they're anywhere near as good as the Revolutionary War one, I'm excited to read them. So highly recommend that. Number 7, Uranus, a book with an embarrassing title that you have read. So maybe I should reread this prompt like my middle school kids would read it. Uranus, a book with an embarrassing title that you have read. Now, I don't read, honestly, I don't have very many books that would have an embarrassing title. Matter of fact, I only had one that even popped in my head, and it is The Bastard by John Jakes. And that is more because, you know, with middle school kids, when I want to recommend a book, I can't recommend that one just because of the title, because of all of the snickers that the kids would end up getting in the end. Excellent book, by the way. Another book, it was a bicentennial series by John Jakes, and it's an 8-volume series on the Kent family. And this one covers a immigrant who is a bastard child, was born out of wedlock, and he's from France, and he ends up immigrating to America and gets involved in all of the revolutionary stuff that was going on in early American history. Great series. Number 8, Neptune, a book that gives you the chills. And so I was thinking about all of the books by Stephen King, because I don't read a lot of scary books, a lot of horror or anything like that. So Stephen King, I have read some though. So the one that I chose was Salem's Lot, which is a book on vampires in the New England area, and excellent book. I really enjoyed it, and again, it's about vampires and evil, and it gave me the chills. It was a good book. So the last prompt or question in this book tag is number 9, Pluto, a book that doesn't get enough credit. The book that I chose for this is one that most of you might not have heard of because it's more of a local history for us. And it's by Michael Tackett, and it's The Baseball Whisperer, a small town coach who shaped big league dreams. And this is all about the Eberle family and what they did for the Clarinda A's, a local baseball team here in southwest Iowa. It's only about 15 minutes away from where I live, and we actually play on this field for our high school ball games. Our old man softball league is like half a block away from this. There's a whole complex there of big fields and little league fields and stuff. But anyway, the Eberle family just has done phenomenal things for Clarinda and for the baseball program that they have put together. It's a summer league for college players, or it's a summer team in a summer league for college players who are looking to just get some more playing time. The original guy here, Merle Eberle, sorry, I went blank on his name. Merle Eberle was a catcher who later on ran the team, and he would bring in local talent, and he would also bring in talent from all around the United States to come play Midwest baseball and teach kids the morals of baseball and what life is all about. Just what does it mean to be a man? And he gave them excellent character building lessons, and he had some famous players who have played here. You look on the back, you can see Ozzie Smith Drive, named after one of the baseball's all-time great shortstops, Ozzie Smith. He played a couple summers here in Clarinda, and Bud Black, another major league pitcher, and Vaughn Hayes, and there's just been quite a few who have played with the Clarinda A's, and so he did a lot for small town baseball and for the big leagues for that matter. So I don't know that many people have heard of this, The Baseball Whisperer. So that would be my choice for the book that doesn't get enough credit. I thought it was a good read. So, BookTube, this is the Milky Way Book Tag. Again, I saw it on Margaret Pernard's channel yesterday, and the original can be found on Hannah's blog. I'll leave the link to both of those. This is a fun tag. This is very creative. Pretty simple, easy to do, so I recommend everybody out there. So if you're watching this video and you like to do tags, here's a tag for you. So I tag everyone that is watching. So thank you for watching, BookTube, and I hope everyone's having a great day and getting some reading done. And so until next time, happy reading.